Okay, we are here. Excuse me, right back with just the amazing Leda. And we are about to get started again because we are talking about everything that is awesome with this. All right, let me.
All right,
Hey,
I'm back.
all right. We had 33 people on the last live.
What? Come
So,
on, y'all.
yes,
Y'all better show out, okay?
yes, yes, yes. So, this is a conversation that needs to be had because it's just that important. Like
Hmm.
it's literally that important. And I'm so glad, like I said, to see that one, you are here and that this is important for us to have these conversations because it's just not talked about. Like you said, when we first started, like it's not talked about how, all of our systems work in conjunction with each other. So if
They
one is
really do.
off, everything is messed up.
Everything. And
Yeah.
she again, she's high maintenance, so she will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
She'll let you know how, let me see what's happening with this thing. Yeah, but
Oh, you
she'll let you know
got a ring
exactly what's
light? I
going
see you. Go ahead with your ring light. I see you.
on.
I see you. Mine wasn't working, so it's over here right now. I have no idea. I'm not even gonna bother with it because it's not working. So
You so funny. No,
it's
you
this
know what
way.
though? Use the filter on here. The one that I
Oh,
use. Yes, girl. So this is the filter right here. This is my favorite. To give me this luminous kind of.
wait a minute. Just
Yes,
okay.
girl. So
I
put
might
it on
mess
your
up and be an
screen.
alien. I might mess up and become an alien or
You
something.
so
I don't know which one. Let me see. I
so
don't know.
there's it's
Oh,
like
see,
per
look what I got eyes. Let me just not do nothing else. Okay. I'm gonna just go here with what I got
She's so
because that's what I'm
funny.
talking about. Just and I had no face.
You crazy. So
It's
but yeah, let me actually I like it off. I've just got used to it, I guess. But yes, so what were we talking about before we switched over?
men using the 2-for-1 on their hair and their
Girl.
balls.
Okay. So yeah, and that's majority of the old school brands that have been with Procter and Gamble for I don't know how long. Like
Mhm.
those brands are really ran by they were started by men. And to be honest, like I want to say they have, I don't even want to say they've served our community because I feel like they knew the chemical things that were going in them and they knew
Exactly.
that they could be toxic. This is why they even came out with the whole toxic shock syndrome note that comes in the pads and all of that, right? So like I can go for days talking about that. But the important thing though is when it comes to Gentle, and I know a lot of you women said that you were going to purchase it. So I want everybody to know that Gentle is not going to lather, right? And when I say lather, it doesn't get super soapy or any of that. The reason for that is because it doesn't have any detergents in there, right?
Mm.
The lathering detergents that allows it to get soapy. So all the other, and I'm saying this kind of in conjunction with like the old school brands, is that they use all of those chemicals, and one of the main ones were the sulfates, right? Sulfates are the lathering detergents. They allow you to have that squeaky clean feeling, right? So they use it in shampoo, in laundry detergents, in what else? In laundry detergent and dishwashing liquids, but they also were using it in our feminine washes for us to clean ourselves. And so you're probably like, well, what's the reason? Like, what's the issue with that, right? The issue with that is I already talked about our natural moisture, right? Natural
Yes.
moisture is very important for your vagina to operate at the optimum, the way she's supposed to operate. What happens is with the lathering detergents, the whole purpose of their whole job is to make sure that they're cleaning dirt and oil. Okay.
Hmm.
So what happens is they get in there, whatever it touches and it's rubbing on it, it's cleaning dirt and oil. So when we're cleaning our lady, literally you're just cleaning your vulva. There are some natural moisture and oils that's supposed to be there, right? So if
Yes.
you're putting that sulfate or those lathering detergents on her, it's actually going to strip your vagina of those natural oils and that natural moisture. And
Mhm.
that's a prime opportunity for yeast
Bacteria.
infections, bacterial vaginosis, vaginitis, all of those different things. And so we want to try to stay away from those things. The example that I give a lot of times is like when you're shampooing your hair and you know how you get that like stripped feeling. That's the same feeling that's happening on your vagina when you use those products. So I know a lot of women have used them. It's the same thing with like regular soap. Some people are like, I use Sensitive Dove. They all have it. If you look at the back of the label, if you see anything that says sulfate, lauryl sulfate, those are your lathering detergents that are in there to help it get super squeaky clean. And we don't want that with our lady. We literally just want something that's going to clean the dirt from her and remove some of the oil, but you don't want to remove all of your natural oil because that's what she thrives off of, and that's what she needs. So yeah.
You know what's interesting about that, especially for Black women in our hair care, how we don't want to use that in our shampoos. So it makes you think, like, if you don't want to use that in your shampoo because you know what it does to your hair, why would you use it on something that, you know, like I don't get that part at least. Like if you would not use it on your hair, why would you use it on your vagina? Like that.
I'm telling you, and I think exactly a lot. I don't think a lot of women even put the two and two together to even say maybe I shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? It starts again with a conversation just like this to say, sis, stop doing that. well, what am I supposed to use? I don't use your product. Listen, literally, the way whenever your vagina is operating the way she's supposed to, you can literally just use water. All you're really doing is just like the inside of your vulva, like the big lips, right? Right inside, that's what you're cleaning. That's where a lot of the dirt and oil sits. And that's where the odor comes from, right? So that's what you're actually cleaning. But what happens is you want to make sure that as you're cleaning those things, that it's also softening the skin, right? Because even though there may be hair there, you're not like shampooing like the same way you would with your head, right? So I think the concept and the idea kind of gets misconstrued because you think that maybe that's not how you're supposed to be. Maybe you're not trying to connect the two to see like, okay, maybe I should be doing this, be familiar with the same thing the way I was with the shampoo. But anyway, so as far as like the water is concerned, if your lady is doing the same, is operating the way she should, you don't have any issue, you can literally just use water. You're just cleaning the vulva, and you'll feel like somebody. I love her. I don't know if she's on here right now, but there was a young lady who said it feels like slimy chicken, right? And I was like, I get it. It kind of does, right? Like when you're cleaning chicken, that, when you're pulling off those small little pieces, that's kind of what it feels like when you're cleaning your lady. So, but you can actually use water if everything is operating correctly. You won't have the smell. If the oil buildup is not there and the dirt's not there, and you can kind of just rinse it off, you're not going to have the smell. So that's a lot of women actually run into a lot of women who are like, I just really use water. And I was like, that's fine. Don't, if you can just use water, don't use anything else. Right. Gntle is literally that. It's gentle. So it's not going to cause any harm or damage. However, if you can use water, that's where we ultimately want to be, is to be able to use water.
And can we talk about how not to, first of all, before we get into that, how do you take these damn filters off? Because they all on the, can you take them off? They're on the bottom of my screen, and I don't know if you can take them off or if they're supposed to just stay. Y'all don't laugh at me because I'm.
No, you can. Oh, is it off now?
No, because I don't want to take them off for you. I don't want to cut you out. I'm just gonna have to do a filter real quick, and
no.
Then,
so click the smiley face again.
Okay. Okay. See, they just.
So the smiley face, there you go. You got it. What's wrong?
That's my senior moment for today.
Oh, okay.
Because I know what my parents feel like, but I'm like, how you attach this to an email? I just didn't know that. I just had to do that.
That's okay.
Y'all just bear with me. I'm an old soul. I might be 80 in a 34-year-old body. Like my name is Alma, and my other. So there you go. But Because I wanted you to talk about it, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
No,
Because
you
I was
good.
like,
You good.
if you saw me on the phone, like, how the hell did you get this? That's what I was
You
doing.
definitely did. You hit us with one of these. You hit us with one of
I
those.
was like, how the hell did I get this? Oh, but I didn't want to be rude. Because that's how I was like, let me just go ahead. Let me just keep trying. Because this ain't working. I didn't want to look crazy, but I just said I had to ask you before I went through that. But with that, like, can we talk about how you are not supposed to clean your actual vagina? Like, we're not supposed to be in that space. So
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead.
Yes. So we probably all heard this, but so let me say it this way. I started off calling our vagina our lady, right? Because
Mhm.
there's so much more to her than just the vagina. Literally, the vagina is just the whole where babies come from. It's the whole vaginal canal, right?
Mhm.
That's just the vagina. Everything else has its own name. But that particular part, the vagina itself, is self-cleaning, right? You've heard some people say it's just like a self-cleaning oven. What happens is when we have our menses or our period every single month, you know, the blood that comes out is also supposed to be purifying, and it's supposed to, be able to have some other things come out with it. And it's coming out, and it's just going to come out on our pads or tampons or whatever it is that we're using. So you're not supposed to, when you're actually cleaning your vagina, you're only literally cleaning your vulva. You're not putting anything up into the vaginal canal. The reason for that is a lot of things that, like, I'm super sensitive to everything. So
Mhm.
if anything, any type of soap hits the vagina, she's going to go crazy, right? So it's a super sensitive area. The skin around it is actually very sensitive. And so you just want to make sure that you're being mindful of that. Literally, the only thing that should be kind of going up, I don't even see even up there, but like even close, if water got up there, it would be fine. But you don't want to try to put anything else up there. Because it is self-cleaning. However, and you did mention this earlier, Alicia, is that we talked about douching, right?
Mhm.
Like our grandmothers, you've probably seen it under your mom's sink, like, what's this big ass bag, right? Trying to understand what it was. Listen, is this a balloon? No, honey, this is something else. But douching. So you want to try to avoid douching. I know a lot of times you're like, let me try to get this bacteria out of there, right?
Mhm.
Again, the vagina is self-cleaning. However, sometimes it can be necessary for you to have to douche. Now, what do you douche with? You do not want to douche with regular water and the stuff that comes in the bottles when they're there. Okay, we don't want to do that. If you think you have to douche, I would actually try to talk to somebody. I mean, if you want to have a conversation, we can. Usually, what I tell women to do, and I've actually done this myself. I'm not going to tell you to do anything that I've never done. Is hydrogen peroxide, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
hydrogen peroxide does a really good job of cleaning and sanitizing without leaving abrasions, right? It's not super abrasive. So what you want to do is that bottle that comes, with the spout, little spigot thing on it, you want to do like a quarter of it as hydrogen peroxide and the rest of it distilled water. You don't want to use your regular water from your regular tap water. You don't want to use that because that has other minerals and stuff in it that can be damaging. So if you have to do it, you want to go ahead and use the hydrogen peroxide and the distilled water. That is usually the only time, like when I say if you have to do it, you have reoccurring yeast infections that just won't go away. They have you on antibiotics for your bacterial vaginosis, and you constantly keep getting another yeast infection, right? That's the time when you want to be able to do it. That was my experience, right? I literally stopped taking the antibiotics that they were trying to give me. I wouldn't do it because it was making everything worse. The whole point of
Mhm.
antibiotics is to literally try to flush out your system. And when it does that, it again pulls all
Mhm.
the necessary nutrients from your vagina, so it can't function the way it's supposed to. And here you are, you got another yeast infection because the atmosphere for your vagina is completely off. So antibiotics are actually going to cause you to have more of a yeast infection. So you're probably like, why the hell I keep getting these again? Well, it's probably because of that too. But yes, so if you experiencing BV and bacterial vaginitis or reoccurring yeast infections, and I say reoccurring, I'm talking about it's been months on end and you can't get rid of it, then I would suggest going ahead and do the hydrogen peroxide in distilled water. How you would do it is I usually tell women to do it one time during the day, like in the morning, and once at night before you go to bed, right?
Okay.
And you will continue to do that until your symptoms start to subside. I say start to subside because literally after day one, you'll be like, oh, this shit is gone. And it's really not gone. It's not gone. So maybe you don't see the thickness of the yeast infection is not that thick, right? Maybe the color changed a little bit. It's not completely gone. You still want to continue to do it, but it's starting to subside. Once you notice that some of the symptoms are starting to subside, you only want to do it once a day, right? And usually you don't want to go you shouldn't have to go more than 3 days. I've had a woman who actually had to go about 5 days, and that's okay. But we don't want to go, literally, if you have to go past 3 days, then we got to have another conversation. It usually kind of happens in about 72 hours. So yeah.
So with that, I know one of the things, because people love to take baths, like they love to take baths. I see now, like with the bath bombs and, you know, I know a lot of people they talk about spiritual baths where they'll put different, you know, like, salts and things, flowers and all these things within their water. So what about those as well? You know, would that cause a reaction, or is that something that you can do, but just like not every day and things like that?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So baths are okay.
Oh, milk baths.
So if you're going to put anything in the bath, Epsom salt is really good, right? If you're going to do anything, Epsom salt is good for you to use. I think a lot of the bath bombs, the natural bath bombs that are actually made from Epsom salt, right? So like they're using that type of salt, compacting them with different like essential oils, which is okay. So you just go ahead and drop it in there, and that's okay. But just make sure you get the ingredients of what the bomb is made of, so you know. Because what happens is, you know, you get a lot of these fragrant bath bombs, and it's more so, I don't know what kind of salt it is, but I think it might more so be the fragrance that they're using that's damaging to our vaginas, and it's irritating. So we want to try to stay away from anything that's super fragrant. If you want to go ahead and do it yourself, buy your own essential oil. Get some lavender, drop it in a bath, sprinkle some Epsom salt in there. You also want to have water nearby. I know it looks lovely to have a glass of wine or some champagne. I know it looks nice and it probably helps you relax a little bit more. But what the Epsom salt and the essential oil is doing is pulling toxins from your body. And so it's pulling toxins, but it's also pulling water. This is why you start to sweat, right? So you want to try to replenish that with water that's nearby as you're going through your bath. So baths are okay. You can do them. You don't want to do them too often. I would probably say like probably twice a month, if that. Like you don't want to get used to doing those. But natural bath bombs are where it's at. So definitely get the ingredient list for the bath bombs that are there, so you know what it's made of. Stay away from the fragrant ones. So like I know the company Lush, I think they were the ones.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
You go past or you can smell it before you even get to the door, right? Like those, I would be mindful of.
Real, and I was thinking of, because I'm like, I know like their company talks about how natural, like everything they do is. So I know that I like Bath and Body Works and all those places. Like when you first step in, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. But I just assumed like because they talk about like, and they have their ingredient list that okay, I was thinking more like the Walmart ones that you get, you know, when they have the Christmas sales, and it's like you can get 5 for like $10. But I didn't think about that for Lush as well, because I just know like they always talk about how they are so, you know, all natural essential oils and things like that.
I remember going into one, and I was asking a lady about the fragrance, right? Like it's very potent. So like I understand, and this is the thing, I think I'm kind of like ruined because I used to work for Heinz and I dealt a lot with the labels and stuff like that. And I know in order for you to put something that says natural, like all
Mm-hmm.
natural on your label, right? You actually, there just has to be a certain amount that you have to put in it to call it all natural. So, right, let's say you're putting sulfates, right? It says sulfate free, but you look on the back of the label and you still see something that says lauryl sulfate. It's because they, according to the guidelines, have the smallest amount necessary to call it sulfate free, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
remember asking a woman, like, okay, so what kind of fragrances are you using? Oh, we're using essential oils, and and I was like, well, how much are you using? Because literally, if you're getting a pure essential oil, you almost always have to dilute it with a carrier oil. So if it's like almond oil, if it's olive oil, those are carrier oils that you have to add it to. So I was like, I didn't understand why you can smell it that much without even actually using any of the other carrier oils. So that was my issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm if you use it and you haven't had any issues with it, that's fine. I just was saying, like, just kind of be mindful of the super fragrant ones, and of course the ones from like the dollar store and Walmart and Kmart. You just want to like, nah, you can't get the actual ingredient list of it. I would kind of try to stay away from them. Just go ahead and make your own, right?
And
Just
that's what the Sarah was saying. What about DIY recipe? Oops. What about DIY recipes where I just missed it?
where you add some essential oils to them. And you can do that. The thing is, understanding, okay, so if you're going to make it, I don't actually make bath bombs, right? I just kind of researched it because I know that this is something that a lot of women do.
Mm-hmm.
Epsom salt, if the procedure is calling for anything other than Epsom salt, I would kind of try to figure out what kind of salt this actually is, because usually that's literally what it is. It's a salt. This is why you get the salt and a baking soda. This is why you get the fizzly type of reaction when you drop it into the water. So just, Epsom salt is a really good salt to use. It's a natural one for us. It does a really good job of like detoxifying the body. This is why people put it in their foot baths, right? Because you pull in the toxins from your feet, which actually pulls majority of the toxins from your body when you're pulling them for your feet. So yeah, it's just something to kind of think about. If you're going to do it, go ahead and use look for DIY recipes that actually use Epsom salt. That would be my suggestion.
So the baking, not the yeah, the baking soda is okay as well, or
Yes. So baking soda is another one of those things that all of us have in our house that we don't necessarily think about as something that's safe for us. I use it on my skin, right? For like exfoliating and things like that. It's
oh,
it's
wait, give
always,
me too.
girl,
What you?
yeah. It's amazing. I use it in my what else was I using it in? There was something else that oh yeah, I do a lemon juice, honey, and baking soda mask. Leave that joint on for 20 minutes. Rinse it off. Like when you're rinsing it off, you're kind of like going in circular motions to try to get, the dead skin off of your face. But it's amazing. Like I love baking soda, and baking soda is one of those other things that are actually naturally occurring. So
Mhm.
it's okay for us to use, and you don't want to use anything in excess, but you can use baking soda. So I would look for the Epsom salt baking soda kind of DIY recipe to see what you can come up with, and let me know because I would like to see what you come up with.
Yeah, I was going to say even for that, just trying to find something to use on your face to really make a good scrub
hmm
without it, damaging your skin. But
hmm
with the baking soda, that was a good, like the lemon juice, honey, and baking soda was good
hmm
as a mask. I wrote that down. 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Another one is brown sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Another naturally occurring, right? So like a lot of us have this in our house. If you add that with some like olive oil, um, brown sugar, olive oil, if you have any like um essential oil that you have around the house or something, you can use that, and that could be a facial scrub as well.
I like that one,
hmm
definitely. So the sugar, I know we're going off tangent. She said coffee grounds and olive oil is a great scrub. That sounds good, actually. I heard
Yes.
caffeine is good, actually, for your skin.
I've
Like,
heard that. I've heard about the coffee grounds. I haven't tried it. I think what stopped me was like, am I gonna smell like coffee all day? You know?
smelling like Starbucks. So you're not gonna smell like a vagina anymore. You're gonna smell like something. Right. But that, excuse me. But that, yeah, no, that's good. If you did not watch the first video, please go and watch that because Leda's about to make some coins with making your own vagina perfume. First of all, like if you, listen, this is gonna be this is your commercial right here. Are you looking for a quarantine bae after quarantine? If so, we have the amazing perfume that you're going to be using for yourself because it's coming straight from you. You have to buy the kit, and then you use. I was trying to come up with some alliteration, but I can't think of something that will rhyme that will make sense for your vagina. So I'm going to have to come back on that. But like, I love it. Good. I was going to come up with it's going to be good. I'm going to think about that. I really am going to think about it and have.
Yeah, we're going to have to brainstorm because this might have to be something that has to be happen.
I'm dead ass. I'm serious as hell.
Yeah.
Like just that alone. Like if you didn't watch the first part of this, go and watch the first part of this.
Yes.
Because that's a money maker. Like that is a money maker. If you are looking, I'm not even gonna put no more out there because you're going to buy it. But still,
you have to buy it.
You're going to buy it. Definitely buy a wash. But this is going to be the next. This is going to be the next thing that's coming out.
I think so.
I think so too.
Girl, listen.
I told you I'd be
so funny.
I told you I'll be your first client. I would just go to the bar and just stand there like this, just stand. I'll be like this. Ooh, it's so hot in here. It is so hot. It is so hot. Yes, it is. Ooh, this is.
Yes, Lord. Yes, child. Ooh.
I would just stand and just be fanning. I'll go to a festival and just be standing like this. Oh yes.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Yes. Like, do you smell this?
It's one of them.
Just like, damn. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a club. Like, if you go to a club, no, I don't know about that because then you make money.
Yeah, I don't know. They would be like, yeah.
I don't have time for that. I got to tell you, I don't have time for that. Like, I don't. You like what I'm saying? Like, nah. But that, like, whew.
We're going to figure it out. Figure this out. That's
like,
good.
that just blew my mind. Like, straight up blew my mind. But it makes so much sense. I think what's crazy to me is that all of these things that have been there throughout history that we're now going back to, like even with what you were saying with how simple your ingredients are, like how you just decided to put these together, divine intervention, but you put them together and they are so simple. And I think sometimes we because we are so advanced now, we forget to go back and we forget that things should just be simple that go into our bodies. And the more as they are simpler, our bodies agree with it more. Like our bodies, it's like we understand, like that primitive part of us is like, I get it. Like, okay, this works. Like this.
Yes. Oh, this is what I'm actually used to. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's amazing that you said that. Like, I put these things together because they just made sense. And so I appreciate that because like I said, I think sometimes we move away from that, and when we move away from that, we make things worse. Make things much worse.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to really fix the problem, we just mask the problem.
Yep.
So,
pretty much.
But that what you said about, I mean, you put me on some stuff today. I got my notes, like the hydrogen peroxide with the distilled water. Like that is that. Oh, I know what I wanted to. So I have a girlfriend, and she also has a IUD. Like I don't mess with that shit because I don't like it. But I know that that is something that happens like reoccurring. And I've not just I've heard it from other women as well. Like that reoccurring yeast infections or BV because they are using. I guess it's because it's your body is trying to like fight off of an infection. But it's not really an infection. It's you have this in your body. So with that, I don't even know if you can speak on that. So I'm just
so So IUDs, the same, because what it's doing is really, it is, your body is seeing it as a foreign object, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it is trying to fight off that. But the whole purpose, the IUD is also a birth control, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the hormones, the synthetic hormones, is the same concept of if you were just taking the pill, right? Like your body is tricking your body to thinking certain hormones are there when they're not supposed to be, right? So um, also tricking your body thinking, hey, I'm pregnant right now, so let's not ovulate. Let's regulate our cycle every 28 days so we know, we can make sure that we're not getting pregnant, right? And so I think like and don't quote me on this, but just the way that I'm understanding it is just that synthetic hormone again is something that can cause your body to go haywire. Now, all women who have the intrauterine devices, do they experience their recurrent yeast infections? No, they
Yeah.
don't. Right. But there are a lot of women who actually do because maybe their body already produces an excess amount of cortisol. Maybe they already produce an excess amount of progesterone. And what the hormone is doing is causing it to either be off balance or produce a little bit more. And now you have some like off kilter type of chemical
Mm-hmm.
balance for your vagina. And she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, what is this?
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? So that's the way that I can that I understand it. I could definitely do a little bit more research on it to try to figure it out a little bit more to give you better details. But the hormones, that's like our ovulation cycle, there's so much that's happening during our 28 days or
Mm-hmm.
31 up to 31 days. There's a lot that's happening during that time. So the hormones that end up getting produced, the hormones that are getting discarded, the hormones that are becoming, regulating our temperature, our moisture, our bacteria, all of that is actually being affected when we are taking birth control. So I was on birth control since I was 17 all
Mm-hmm.
the way until July of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't experience any bacteria, or I didn't experience any like recurrent yeast infections while on the pill. However, coming down to like the last 4 months
Mm-hmm.
where I had some issues was my face started breaking out crazy. My blood pressure went haywire. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
my doctor was like, the first thing I'm gonna do is take you off this birth control. And I was like, I've been using the same birth control for I don't know how long, right? And I said, for over 10 years. And she's like, well, yeah, sometimes your body needs a break. And on top of that, they changed they changed the makeup or how they make it and the
Oh,
ingredients
wow.
that they're using. So they don't let you know, or you get the packet and you don't know to read the insert that says that they made some changes to it and your body's
I,
reacting. So
I
I
didn't
was
ever,
like,
I never thought, that is, never
girl,
thought of that. Never thought of that.
man,
Like, wow.
yes, messed me
That's
up.
new.
I was at work and my face was already like, I was like, what the heck is going on? I'm trying to plan I'm thinking it's just stress, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
trying to plan a wedding. My sister was sick at the time. We trying to buy a house. It was a lot going on. And she was like, so I didn't decide to go to her until I was at work one day and I started hearing this beating in my right ear. And it was like
Mm.
a thump, 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 thump. And I was like, what is that? And I like started to get lightheaded. And
Mm.
so somebody said, you should probably go to the nurse. So I go to somebody who could take my blood pressure really quickly. And it was like, I don't even know. It was super high. It was like 140 over, it was like 140 over 119 or something like that. It
Mm.
was like crazy. And so I was like, okay. And the doctor said, you need to go to the hospital. So I made an appointment with my doctor and she was saying, Leda, this doesn't make any sense. She's like, are you just having this while you're at work? And I was like, yeah, the thumping sound. I was like, but I always feel like this pressure that's like in my arms or something. She's like, your blood pressure is really high. So before she could put me on any type of medicine or anything, she was like, I'm gonna take you off of the birth control. And so when she
Mm.
took me off of it, I'm telling you, like blood pressure went down, skin started to clear up. Um, yeah, and I hadn't had any issues. Now I didn't have yeast infections with that one, but like there were some other things that were happening inside of me that
Mm-hmm.
she was just like, just go ahead and get rid of it. So yeah.
So what about generic birth control?
Generic birth. So what happens with generic birth controls? Usually the name brand and generic is usually the same chemical compound in their ingredients. Like there's really no difference. It's just how insurance decided to sell them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got ortho tricycline low, which I was on. Then I switched to the generic brand, but it was the same thing.
Mm.
So they can actually end up doing it. They can operate the same way as in changing their chemical makeup, right? And they let you know via the insert that you get with every single packet that's stuck to the bag or stuck to the the back of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And they let you know, but we're not used to reading them, right? Like, what am I
No.
actually looking for? I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at when I look here. You should actually say change is made to so and so and so, but that's not how they operate. So they save their
That's
asses by
scary.
literally just changing the verbiage and all the information in the insert, and they give it to you. Your responsibility is to make sure that you read it.
That's scary. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is really, really scary because
Mm-hmm.
you don't read it because it's just you're just like, I take these every whatever and I just continue to take them. I just continue to take them. It's that scary to know that that happened to you. And I'm sorry that happened to you because I would never have thought that that would be something because I stopped taking birth control because the same thing, like my mood swings were friggin' ridiculous
Yeah.
when I was not taking them, like the placebo ones. It was like a straight zero it was like Jekyll and Hyde, and I could
Mm-hmm.
not deal with those mood swings. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I can't do this anymore. Like this is too much for me.
Yeah.
But like I would never have thought about like that. I mean, because you think about we've been using them for so long
Mm-hmm.
that we just it's like they're supposed to work, so that's what we think about. Like they just work, and we
Right.
just you just take it, and that's it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they work, you take it, and you don't get pregnant, and
Right.
that's it.
That's it.
But,
That's all there is to it. And I'm good. I don't have a baby. You know what I'm saying? And
mhm.
everything's fine. But even the way you were saying it, you were talking about the what did you just say? You
The
said
mood thing.
the placebo bills. You said something right before that that made me think of. It'll come back to me. It'll come back
Mhm.
to me. But yeah, the generic pills though, I mean, literally it's the same thing. It's just how the insurance companies decide to sell them.
And that's so
Same
crazy.
makeup.
They don't tell you that. To me, that's what's scary is that you really have to be your own advocate. And it's so important because we see that now. I mean, I think with everything that's happened, I didn't want to talk about everything that's happened, but with everything that's happening, like you really have to know your shit because
Mm-hmm.
there are so many things that are happening that if you are just watching the news and looking at the big picture, you will miss those little details that really will allow you to function properly. Because I would never have thought that that was, that they would change something. And if you're not, you're accustomed to taking it. And if, most people would just work through that. Because like you said, you were planning your wedding. So you're like, oh, it's just the stress of this. And you would never think that, oh, this, or even if if your doctor wasn't on it to
Mm-hmm.
say, they changed this. And if she wasn't reading that or he wasn't reading up on it, like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And it
really
was, girl, it
crazy.
was so scary. I was like, you know how you go to look up anything on Google. You Google anything, it's like you died
WebMD,
today. You got 2 days to
you gonna
live.
die
Like,
tomorrow.
so it was.
WebMD have everybody thinking you got cancer, you got a fungus that you can't get rid of, you got gangrene, like everything is happening.
Exactly. Like I was sure going to die the next day.
That's
Um,
crazy. That
but
is so.
it was funny because I had went to urgent care before I went to my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And they were literally like the one doctor just wrote, he just was like, here, you have high blood pressure. I said, sir, I just told you that I have never had high blood pressure a day in my life. I am
Mm-hmm.
very active. I do eat healthy. Like I've never experienced this before. Well, it doesn't make sense that it's happening now. So you're telling me the first time somebody comes in with high blood pressure, the first thing that you're going to think is, oh, she's African American, so she is already, predisposed to high blood pressure, right? To hypertension. And I'm like, that's not the case. So I'm glad that my doctor, she's amazing. She was just
Mm-hmm.
like, no. I'm gonna take you off this birth control. Don't take anything else. We'll come back in a couple weeks to see how you're feeling. And at that point, like blood pressure was down. I would still be able to feel it every so often. She's like, but there's a lot of it that's in your system. So, you know, she just kind of kept an eye on me, which I really appreciated. But yeah, that man was ready to give me a straight up beta blocker. You know, you get on high blood
Wow.
pressure pills and you got to take them forever,
Yeah.
and or you have to be weaned from them. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
And that's crazy. And you know what you were talking about, how it's about to give me. This is what I was saying recently when I was watching the news, when I was saying, you know, with everything that's happening, the people who are going to get this the worst are people that look like us. And I was just watching a story, and I stopped watching because I'm just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Where it was what's her name? Her sister was a nurse. Her sister had it and coughed on her and didn't realize that she had the coronavirus, and or COVID-19. You know, black people call it Rona. She ain't Rona. And so she went to the hospital and they turned her away. She asked for a test. They turned her away. She went back because she couldn't breathe. They turned her away again. She went 3 times and they turned her away. The 3rd time they couldn't turn her away anymore because she's now on life support. And so when I tell black women, like, you have to be an advocate for yourself, and because he would have put you on, and if you were up on it, because he's a doctor, you would have been like, okay, you know, okay. And because, you know, you already know, you're educated enough to know and to advocate for yourself to say, okay, this doesn't make sense, sir. You a bold-faced lie, so I'm going to just go ahead and make my way to my primary. Because they will tell you one thing without not even knowing your history. Like, not even knowing your history, they'll tell you who you are. Like Serena, that makes me think of Serena when she was pregnant, and she knows her body. Like, this is the greatest athlete in the world, and knows her body. Like, she knows her body enough that she knew she was in crisis, and they still were like, "You good?
This is normal. This is normal. This just happens all the time."
Like, that shit blows my mind. Yep. It blows my mind, which is why when I'm so glad that, you know, I've been able to bring women on who know that shit, like who know that shit. And even if you don't, you're like, you know, I can look it up. I can look it up. I can research it, because they will tell you anything and not think twice about it. Not think twice. Not even. Okay. Okay.
And it's sad. It's so sad to watch, like, and to be a victim of it, right? And that's the thing. We're victims of this type of health system, right? This institution of how they treat us as Black people in this country. So, you know, or just even, I'll say us as Black women because we are Black women, but like, it's just so crazy to watch and to be a part of. And this is why this is important, us to be able to come on and just speak to whoever is willing to listen, because at some point you're going to be a person that is going to be in a situation and you want to be equipped with the tools necessary for you to make the right decision for yourself or for your loved one. So yeah. Ooh,
and especially in today's, like, that's why I'm telling people, sit your ass at home. Sit down. You ain't got nowhere to be. Like, sit down. Because it's like, this is, I believe that this is going to be a time where people really start to take, you know, stock of what really means something to them, like what they really need to think about, what they really need to know, and how they're going to, from this point on, really transition into what else is there for them. Because we've already seen, like, people are like 3.3 million, I think it was, probably more than that. I think they said the estimate is going to be like 8 million people who are going to be on, I was about to say child support. Lord Jesus Christ. I was about to say child support. I don't know why I was going to say child support. Where it came from in my mind. Don't even know why I was going to say child support. Lord, unemployment. But like, even with that, like, it's and I hate to be that person, because I know I did a video yesterday. I was like, stop telling people to buy stock. Stop telling people to get to get a skill to watch. Like, I don't want to watch yet. I want to just stay in my bed sometimes and just like relax. I've been working though, because that's, my mind does not shut off. So I've been working. I've been doing things, but I think it's time for people to just, like we said, to take that time to really find the meditation that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's music, if it's dancing, it's something. Because like you said, your lady is gonna let you know, like you
Yes.
bugging out. Sit
Mm-hmm.
your head down because you bugging out.
Yep. You're
And this
doing
is
too
not
much.
time to be getting no yeast infections, and your ass is trying to make it to the stove, and the government is like, y'all can't go nowhere.
Yeah, I swear. Like, so fam, like all I need is that. Yeah, no, no, ma'am, stay in your house.
This is not the time to be doing that. Like, this is
It's
not the
not.
time to be trying to do too much.
Mm-mm,
Like,
mm-mm.
enjoy yourself, enjoy your family. I know some of y'all are tired as hell of your kids. I already know because I've been getting messages. But
Mm-hmm.
like, it's really time to. I really feel like it's time for us to really reflect on ourselves and like work on that. Like they call it shadow work. Like all those things you've been putting off, you haven't wanted to deal with,
Sure.
and now they're staring at you in your face because you can't go anywhere. You can't do
Mm-hmm.
anything. Like you can't outrun what's happening. So you really have to take this moment in these times to really,
Yeah.
just sit down somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Just take the time to just chill. Like
Literally.
we're not gonna get this, and that's the crazy part is like here in America, like I feel like we one of the only countries, only forward or first world countries
Mhm.
who don't really advocate for the employees the way they should. You should be able to take time off when you need to, right? Like, but we work all the time. This is
All
like one of the first times in my lifetime, in our lifetime, where we get to see the world kind of just slow down, the country slow down. Not for a
mm-hmm.
day. We talking months on end. We don't know when we're gonna get the
Mm-hmm.
okay for this. So like take advantage of that because it allows yourself to just reboot not only just your immune system, which you should be taking care of, drinking water, drinking warm liquids, washing your hands, vitamin C, black seed oil, those things you should
You
be
better go
really
ahead. You
trying to,
talking about the black seed oil, girl.
girl, let me tell you, let
Girl.
me tell you. And the sea moss, if you have sea moss,
Yes.
get you some sea moss. But like just being able to have the moment to really just kind of take a breath is
Mm-hmm.
unheard of in this country.
It
So
is. Oh
take
my God.
advantage of it. Like literally take advantage of it. Your mind would appreciate you for doing it. Your body would appreciate you for doing it. And your lady will appreciate you for doing it.
Definitely. Listen, taking a break. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. I don't remember the last time that I've actually literally just, like, I could not go anywhere. I'm a homebody anyway, so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really make a difference. But I was always still doing something. So
Mm-hmm.
like even now, like tomorrow, I said I wasn't going to do it. Or that's a lie because I got to go live tomorrow at 8. But still, like
Mm-hmm.
during the day, I was like, I'm not really going to do anything. I've
Mm-hmm.
been working on like an ebook, but I'm like, I like today. I think I got up at 9 and I worked on that thing till maybe 3. And I remember my dad was like, "You still here?" Because I was at the kitchen table. He's like, "You still here?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm,
I'm
I'm
still
still here.
here.
I'm still right here."
Uh-huh.
And even with that, like I'm really trying to plug in time where I can just be with my parents and
Mm-hmm.
just be there. Turn my phone not off because I'm not. I can't. But I just can't. I'll put it on mute. Like
Mm-hmm.
only when I'm going live is literally when I put my phone on silent mode. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's totally silent. And even when I'm sleeping, I still have the ringer on. So just because, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because like when I'm at home, if I need to come home, which doesn't make sense, I'm just so used to it that if something happens, I know my ringer's on so someone will call me. Or
Mm-hmm.
I think I might go do not disturb, but that's a whole nother different, I gotta think about that. But it's true. Like this is the time where we can really just decompress and be good with decompressing and not have to worry about I got to get up, I got to get my kids ready, I got to
Mm-hmm.
get up at the crack of dawn, fight traffic. We don't have to do that. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. That really is amazing. And
It
look
is.
what's happening in nature. Like
Come on
seriously,
now. Like
like
I remember my husband and I went to for our honeymoon, we did like this whole cruise, Mediterranean cruise, but we were in Venice and we
mhm.
did the gondola ride down the canal. It stank. It was like dirty. It was just like, and to see pictures now, like what? You can actually see fish in the canal? That's
Yep.
unheard of. Like that is, listen, I'm just, and the pollution, the air pollution in China,
Yeah.
it's just, come on, come
Yes.
on.
And
It's
I've been, and it was
necessary.
a mess. It was nasty. It was straight, like it almost was like
Horrible.
you could touch it, like you could touch the smog.
Yeah.
So, and I saw that, and even like Baltimore. I'm in Baltimore, but our governor is tired of us. First of all,
Oh.
he's like, if you don't take your ass in the house,
Hmm. Hmm.
shut all this down,
I'm
because people
shutting it
still try to
down.
they don't get it.
You look, a misdemeanor. That's what he said. A misdemeanor.
Yes.
All
And
right.
people still are like, I don't think that people realize how, and I'm about to put y'all onto something, and it's going to go off on a tangent because I just need to say this real quick. There was a gentleman in New Orleans. They had, was it Second Line? I think it's called the Second Line, where someone dies and they have like the party, not a party per se, but where they have like the bands and
Oh, yes.
people are
Hmm.
so right now, because we are under an emergency, federal, emergency, they can put you in jail indefinitely because you're considered a terrorist, technically, because if the law is that you cannot be, having, if you're not supposed to have people 10 or more within the space. They had 100 people, first of all. And because he was the ringleader, they put him in jail. Now, courts are closed. Law offices are closed. So until this is over, you're in jail indefinitely. And there's nothing that you can do because they're going to throw the book at you. I know they were talking about South Carolina, how they said 3 people. You can't have 3 people together because that is considered breaking the law right now. And that's in South Carolina.
See?
So you know where they're going to be looking. You know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that people need to understand. Like they're not saying this is martial law, but be honest with yourself that if you are out and there are, like, I know a lot of people having house parties and things like no. I think for me, I go now, not so much, but I would go from my sister's house to see my nephew, which is 10 minutes away, back to my parents' house. And that's it. The only time I went somewhere else because we had to get wine because Dave had to shut down, so we had to get wine. But but I haven't gone anywhere other than to my house in Upper Marlboro and brought my ass back. And that's it. Like I've literally been in my car and traveling between 2 houses and that's it. And so I really want people to be smart. Like if you get locked up, you are not getting out. Courts are closed. Like they'll lock you up and that's it. That's it until this, and you don't know when this is going to happen. And this is not the time to be in a confined space without the comforts of your family. And this ain't the time. This is not the time. I know some jails actually keep you out.
Exactly. Like, especially when people actually in prison and in jail are contracting the virus. Like,
yes,
man,
wholesale.
just stay home.
Wholesale. And you already know that they're not worried about you. They were worried about you before. So they're definitely not worried about you now. So I just want people to be smart. Like, be smart. Stay home. I got shit to do in June too.
Exactly.
Like, we all want to go outside. Like I got a trip. I had to cancel my trip to
what was it, Jamaica?
No, the Jamaica's in July, which I'm still hoping we can do. I'm praying that we can go, but to Mexico, I had to cancel it because there was no way that we were going to go. Because I was like, I'd be damned if we make it. Because it was like way before. I was like, I'm gonna see what they're gonna say. Because I was like, they might not do it. I was looking like every day. I was like, okay, is Mexico going to close the border? I haven't seen anything yet. So I was like, okay, we're still going to go. And then I think it was like last week, I believe it was, or the week before last, where they were like, nah, ain't nobody going nowhere. Like, unless you really have to travel and it's an emergency, like, you are not going anywhere. Because we're supposed to go next week.
See?
And I'm just like, no one could prepare for this. So that's why I'm like, keep your ass at home. Because come July, I'm trying to be out.
Exactly. Like, come on, it's the summertime. It is sundress season. Come on.
Like, no, I need you to stay inside because, I mean, for real. Like, I need y'all to just do your part. Like, let's be
Yes.
like China. Let's be like China, although they're a little bit different. China, first of all, China had helmets that could read your body temperature.
Yes,
We we
girl.
got we got masks.
And we ain't even got enough of them. Let's talk about it.
I just drink my tea on that one.
Girl, yeah, and this is the other. I said to somebody the other day, it's what this has brought up is how unprepared, ill prepared this country is for a federal and a national disaster, a pandemic actually. Like we're just so ill prepared. You got like third world countries are probably doing better than we are. So
I think, you know what I think it is? I think part of that is because we are a nation of independence. Like, everyone is independent except for maybe your family unit. Whereas in these other countries, it was a big push. Like China was a big push that we are one. We are a family. We are one. We are one. Do your part. Like, do your part, because we are one unit. We are one family. Whereas here, it's like certain governors haven't closed anything. We saw what happened in Florida. I think Atlanta, their governor is now, I think, just starting to do shit. Like, and I think that's what the problem is. Like Maryland, he was like, no, like we
shut it
getting
down.
shit. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. I think California, same thing. They was like, oh, hell no. Like, shut this shit down. New York, I mean, and we're close to New York. That's the first thing. Like, we are very, it's not but a hip scop. How do I sound? A hip scop. What is a hip scop? I don't even know what a hip scop is, but why didn't you put that on the t-shirt? We ain't nothing but like 3-4 hours away, you know. So, and I heard a lot of people from New York were moving. They were migrating because they were like, oh, it's about to get real. We in these little apartments, and you know, your neighbor, you hear your neighbor coughing, and you about to say, I gotta go, I gotta go. So I prayed this, not pray, because I know it's gonna be. I'm putting in the universe. It's gonna be over by June. It's gonna be over before June, if we can sit down. If that man in the White House can get his shit together, I'm hoping that'll be over by that time, because we're gonna need vacations. Like, we are really going to need whole vacations after.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be. I mean, we're gonna have our pussy perfume on. Like, we're gonna do that.
Yes, girl, we're gonna work this out. It's going
Watch video number 1.
Yes. Make sure you go watch that.
It explains it all. It explains
everything.
Like, I'm already like I said, I'm a hermit by nature. But I'm tired of walking up and down the steps and like going nowhere. Like, I'm tired. Like, I'm already like I need something else to do.
Yeah.
So I get it.
My husband and I were like, so what we gonna watch tonight? But we've been like, all right, we wanted to watch this. Let's go ahead and put this on our radar. And then you go on Instagram and Netflix then dropped a whole slew of new content. It's like, come on.
Listen.
But yeah,
I haven't watched before that I would never even think about. My dad had me watching, I don't even know, to something today. And I was like, why would you even watch this? It's like, there's nothing else to do. I was like, you're right. You're right.
Exactly. You're right, Pops. Absolutely.
There's
nothing else to do. So it's also been a good time to just kind of just be with our loved ones if you're with somebody else, right? Not to be able to, not taking it for granted. Married couples, if there's shit you need to work out, this would be the time. Yes, this would be the time to do it, because like, you ain't got nothing but time and space and opportunity. So talk, have a conversation. Yeah.
See, you gonna come back. We're gonna have a whole conversation, because no, I'm serious. I'm dead ass. Like, I'm dead ass. I'm a whole nother shirt on, and my hair gonna be like this again, because the way my hair is set up right now, this haircut is looking helter skelter. It's just not hitting.
Listen, a friend of mine was like, so I have lace fronts. They're the government. I have lace fronts, and I can't go
Exactly.
see my friend who does this for me. So you got me out here looking
Oh,
crazy.
shoot. We got 20. Okay. I want you to say who you are again, what you do, how people can find you.
Okay, so my name is Leda K. You can find me over at Gntle Lady Wash here on Instagram. And just come on over. Girl Talk Tuesday, every single Tuesday, Eastern,
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love to see you there. Thank you so much for doing this,
Thank
Lee.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Always take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Love you all.